went to Sunderland University, and I studied media production. So it was kind of focusing on radio and that sort of thing. And that was something that I really enjoyed doing. But I think it was the kind of course, and it was the kind of industry where, probably quite similar to what it's like nowadays, you needed so much kind of extra work experience to have any chance of cracking the industry and getting any kind of job in it. And I don't think I really threw myself into the course as much as I should have done at the time, really, in hindsight. So it kind of got to the end of university. I didn't have a huge amount of work experience. And it was one of those situations where it was like, right, well, I can go out and try and get this work experience, but it'll probably mean moving back in with my parents. So kind of like moving away from my friends who I'd been living with for a few years. I had a girlfriend at the time. I was kind of like seeing her up in Sunderland. So it's all these sorts of things where you're kind of thinking like, oh God, I don't really want to like have to move back in with my parents to kind of do this. So it almost became easier to get like, I suppose like what you'd call a proper job sort of thing. So I started working in a call center in Newcastle at first. And then, it just kind of ended up kind of like continuing on that path and doing like various roles in sales and that sort of thing. So I ended up working as a recruitment consultant for a few years in London. And I did these kind of jobs until I was, I'm 32 now. So I was doing those kind of jobs until I was about 26, but it was just, for me, it was soul destroying. And it was the sort of thing where you were earning decent money and that kind of thing, but I just wasn't into it whatsoever. It just kind of wasn't me. And then that's kind of when I made the decision to kind of like redirect myself and kind of go back into an area that I was passionate about, which was writing about football and that sort of thing. So kind of retrained in 2016, and then I've kind of like worked for a few different places in the last few years, and kind of like kind of on the right track now, I guess, doing something that I really enjoy, which is great.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that, you know, it took you till like 26 before you kind of made that jump, and you obviously decided to redirect yourself in this different path, and go down something that you were really passionate about. Because it leads on to my next question, which was, you know, if someone that was looking to go into sports,
I think it would probably be just kind of throw yourself into it and kind of don't turn your nose up at any sort of like opportunity. I think when I was at university, it certainly wasn't like arrogance or anything like that, but it was probably more insecurity than anything. It was kind of like I was quite comfortable with like my group of friends, and I didn't really want to like put myself out there by like getting rejected for saying, oh, can I come and do work experience with you and that sort of thing. So it was a lot easier to kind of stay in my comfort zone sort of thing. But then what ended up happening was, as I mentioned, I didn't kind of get the work experience that I sort of needed to maybe pursue that as a career option. And I think it just kind of gets to a point where, I don't know, I don't really know what I was expecting to happen during those years when I was working in sales, but you kind of realize that nothing's, I'm going to sound really like preachy here, but like nothing kind of gets handed to you at that point. So it was kind of, it got to a point where I was like, oh, well, this just isn't happening. So I'm going to have to go out there and kind of like change things and change the way that I operate in order to kind of like go down that sort of path. So I think the main thing is just kind of get as much experience as you possibly can. And kind of don't be too proud to kind of like put yourself out there and ask for work experience. And although places might not be able to take you on and stuff, someone will give you that kind of opportunity. And even if an opportunity doesn't seem on the surface of it like it's going to be a huge benefit to you, there will be some kind of experience that you'll be able to take from that and take into the next thing. And that might get you work experience at a slightly higher profile place, and you can kind of like start building from there, really. But ultimately, you've got to make the decision to start somewhere and start building from that point.